How's it going, everyone? My name is Luxeley, and guess what? It looks like Blizzard's putting some poison on their daggers and going after some of the more toxic players in the game, and there's been some mixed feelings about this, and I'm going to throw that question out there. Is the WoW community toxic? And if so, where does it come from? And the bigger question is, can this really be fixed? Can it really be fixed? In my 7 years of playing WoW, I've experienced both the friendly and the vicious WoW player, as I think we all have to some extent or another. And every other day, you run into the human side of players, the friendly, helpful, kind Gilnean. Any friend of Greymane is a friend of mine. You know the rap, right? And you also run into the vicious Worgen side of players, those nasty beasts who verbally slice and dice you just for asking a simple question like, where's the portal to Guild Wars 2? Or do pets need PvP armor in order to do pet battles? Important, interesting questions. I've seen the kind Gilnean player not only tell a person, but literally have that person hop on their back and fly them personally to the location of the Hellfire Peninsula portal. Literally show them where it is and bring them there. I've seen people help people over and over in the game, and it's a beautiful thing to see. On the flip side, that's a bit of an antiquated reference from back of the old vinyl record days. You could Google it if you don't know what a vinyl record is. And I've seen stuff like, I'll tell you where to find the Hellfire Peninsula portal if you let me bang your mom, because I hear she's a virgin, which means that you're adopted and unloved. And we all hear stuff like that, whether it's directed at us, directed at one of our friends, or even just random people that we see in trade chat talking this shit all the time. Now, please don't get the wrong impression here. I've seen evidence of good, bad, and the very ugly in every single MMO, not just World of Warcraft. Some are worse than others, but I've seen it. I've even seen it in MOBAs across the board. It's commonplace. It's a hybrid, a child of the internet, this nastiness, because people aren't accountable for their actions. And people really need to be aware of one undeniable fact, and that is this. Sometimes you run into a kind player on a bad day, and sometimes you run into a nasty player on a very good day. Did you ever ninja a mount or a special piece of gear? How about wipe a raid or a dungeon on purpose because you're bored out of your mind and you just don't know what else to do with yourself? Or in a fit of boredom, did you ever troll a guild member or someone in chat? I think all of us have done that at one time or another. It's the repeat offenders that Blizzard's going after here. And on some levels, I applaud them. On some levels, I'm like, do you really think this will work? We'll get more into that in a minute. But more importantly, tell me about a time when you did something really good. So a time where you did something where you helped another player, and maybe that player wasn't even a member of your guild or a friend of a friend. It was just some random person looking for help. Leave it in the comments. I do respond to the comments. I strongly believe if you guys could take a few minutes and watch one of my videos, I could certainly take 10 or 20 seconds to respond to your comments. Now, at one time or another, everyone, including me, has played the role of the friendly Gilnean as well as the vicious Worgen. It's just human nature to do that. You're lying to me if you said you've never done anything nasty, and you're lying to me if you said you never did anything kind. I'm sorry, that's the way I truly, genuinely feel. Now, the internet is a very fertile ground, a very fertile place for the Frankenstein of human nature. And the question is, does the RNG of douchebags and jerk-offs and asshats in WoW lean towards the minority or the majority? Leave it in the comments. Is it the minority or the majority? Now, before I delve into whether or not the WoW community is toxic, I want to address the second question first, and that is, where does this toxicity come from? And I'm going to shed my thoughts on this, so I can hear people typing now, like, get ready to come at me. Go for it, people. Here's what I believe. I believe leadership dictates the persona and attitude of any given place where people congregate for one reason or another. That could be a corporation, it could be a family, it could be a school, a football team, American or European, or most definitely an MMO. The Indians mirror the attitude of the chief, and it's not the other way around. It's not. Let me give you the perfect example of precisely what I'm talking about. Near my house, there are two 7-Elevens. One 2 miles east, the other 2 miles west. Now, 7-Eleven is a place where you could buy a cup of coffee, a laundry detergent, or a box of condoms, or even a pack of gum, for those of you who don't know. It's open 365 days a year, and it's open 24/7 every single day, pretty much but Christmas and New Year, so 363 days a year, whatever. And I have this ritual where I go in and I buy a cup of coffee and a bagel and a buttered roll. And I work out of a home office as a salesperson, so I'm on the road a lot. When I do go out, not that often as I used to, which is why I like to do YouTube. It grants me a lot of freedom. But when I do go see a new client, a potential prospect, an existing client, depending on whether I go east or west, is which 7-Eleven I go to. Now, 7-Eleven is individually owned, but it's under the auspices of a grand company. And I want to share this example because I think it really ties into my theory here. If I go east, I walk into this 7-Eleven and they're constantly playing commercial-free radio of the music I love. Music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, stuff that will just always put a smile on my face. Stuff that reminds me of when I was in my 20s, stuff that reminds me when I was in high school, and it's just a great feeling. And I just immediately, I'm a very audible type of person. I walk in there, I immediately feel good because I like the music. Now, this place is a bit disheveled, it's a bit unkempt. There's always a vacuum out, like someone's eventually gonna get to vacuuming the place. There's always a mop hanging around, like someone's gonna eventually get to mopping the place. And they don't generally always have what I want. They really don't. I might be looking for French vanilla coffee and they just have regular coffee. I might be looking for decaf hazelnut and they don't have any decaf coffee. It's just when they get to it. Sometimes they don't have bagels. There's a good chance that I'm not going to get what it is that I want because they don't have it. But the people who work there are very friendly with each other. They're joking with each other. They're friendly with the customers. They know the customers by face, if not even by name. And the owner is somebody who's a very, very happy, sociable, friendly guy. You could see he knows the names of each and every one of his employees, and he knows a lot of his consistent, steady customers. He's a very friendly guy. He's the one that really sets the tone of that place, because you walk in there and you honestly feel like you're walking into an establishment that your best friend's parents own. And that is true customer service. And that place, even though they generally have a 50-50 shot of not having what I'm looking for, it's a pleasure to go there. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way. The people are just very friendly, and they're not that retail fake friendly. They're very genuinely friendly to see you and happy to see you because they're cognizant of those kind of things and repeat customers. Now, the other 7-Eleven, you walk in there and the place is immaculate. It is immaculate. You will never see a Snickers bar stacked with the gum. Everything is in place. It is clean. It is perfectly organized. Everything is in place. And you always have what you want. Whatever it is you're looking for, they have it. It's always there. There's no music playing. And the people that work there have that look like, fucking shoot me. Luxeley, if you see me in the parking lot after hours, after work, please go buy a gun and fucking blow my brains out, because I am miserable working here. I am miserable working for this boss. I just hate my life. Do me a favor. I won't press charges from the afterlife. Just shoot me. They're not friendly. They don't joke with you. They don't even throw a fake smile your way. And the question is, why? These are two establishments that essentially are the same, reaching out to the same customers in the same area, selling the same goods, incorporated under the same name, but two different owners. Leadership sets the tone and the mood. The guy who owns that second 7-Eleven looks like a high school principal that everybody hates. This anal, retentive guy who's in his 60s and 70s, who wears a bow tie and just really doesn't even know who the fucking Beatles are, let alone YouTube, let alone Eminem or anything. He's just completely out of touch with reality in the world today. He's living in the 50s. He has no idea what's going on. He doesn't know his employees by name. He doesn't joke with them. He doesn't know. He's just an anal retentive host. He's like a high school principal, and he dictates the mood of that 7-Eleven. My point is, and in conclusion, I will clearly and unquestionably say it is leadership who dictates the mood and the precedence. And this toxicity that is occasionally found in World of Warcraft is because of Blizzard. I blame Blizzard. And the reason I blame Blizzard is because they have just completely fucked up the game. And on some level, on some subconscious level, players are pissed off because they can't find a decent guild, and they got to spend money to go to a different server to get inside a good guild. And they're pissed off because they're not creating certain levels and criteria for people to do certain content. So people have to stomach idiots who just go through particular raids or dungeons and don't even bother learning the fights. They just, okay, I'll get carried, that's it. You know, it's just all about the fun. They don't consider that they're wasting other people's time by not trying to learn something, by not taking 20 or 30 seconds and Googling a boss in a dungeon or Googling a boss in a raid and learning something. Oh, these guys will just carry me. And it's that mentality that on a subconscious level pisses people off. It's the fact that for 3 or 4 X-Packs in a row now, people are raiding for 10, 12 months the last raid tier. And that pisses people off. That lack of value, that redundancy. The fact that Blizzard just absolutely, when they try to do the right thing and they throw a ban wave out there for various reasons, their methods are not flawless. There are victims. There are false IDs. I made a video on botting a long time ago, and there were people that flat out told me in the comments, they said, Lux, I wasn't botting. I did not do anything wrong, and I got falsely flagged. And I was like, fuck you. You're crying to the wrong person. That's not the case. And when it happened to me and I got falsely flagged for botting, then I started to realize that, hey, maybe some of these guys are talking the truth. Maybe it's true. Sometimes players do stupid fucking things. I have a new PvP series, 85 episodes, 5 or 6 clips in each episode where people make the most elementary, basic mistakes that it would take 20 or 30 seconds to Google and not make. Or watch a video of someone who is a seasoned or experienced or veteran player in the class that you play and learn something. But they don't do it because they just want to have fun. They don't want to bother learning. They don't want to bother being good. They don't want to bother. That doesn't faze them as to whether or not they're going to be bringing down the whole of the group because, hey, the mentality is I'll get carried. I'll blend in. And there's something wrong with that. But my thoughts are that I think there have been a lot of subconscious and underlying reasons why people are toxic in game. And I think a lot of it points at Blizzard. A lot of it points out of the intelligence and the complexity being bled out of the game and the outright simplicity and stupidity being thrust into the game, and Blizzard's lack of attentiveness in giving content that creates some sort of subconscious anger. But the reality is, the flip side to all this, that vinyl record reference once again, this is all subjective. This is all my opinion. This is, I like chocolate and you like strawberry. Or I like chocolate chip cookie dough and you like Rocky Road. One isn't better than the other. It's a matter of preference. But let me extrapolate even further. Let's spin the clock back to Wrath of the Lich King. The addition of the Blizz Store, right around the time that Activision merged with Blizzard Entertainment, boom, all of a sudden the Blizz Store pops up. And on some level, there's a lot wrong with charging a sub fee and then charging people for various convenience and cosmetic things. Most games, it's one or the other, not both. That creates a level of animosity. This whole breaking down of the community from looking for group to LFR to server merges to even garrisons, which clearly dictated that this was going to erode the social aspects of the game, and they went and did it anyway. And if that wasn't enough, then they had garrisons on the sea with the shipyard. All this stupidity creates animosity within the players. Is it just me? Am I the only one that gets pissed off at Blizzard? I could still go on. This animosity is all directed towards Blizzard, or everything they did with Warlords of Draenor, where they started skimping and cutting back on content. Literally, if you go back and you look at BlizzCon 2013 and the announcement of the features and what they planned to do and what they actually delivered, as far as size is concerned, it's fucking Texas versus Rhode Island. That's the differential of what they promised and what they actually delivered. And if you're not from the States and you're not good at geography, you could Google the size difference. It's pretty huge. My whole point is that a lot of this animosity is triggered and stirred up and created by Blizzard, because they're thrusting convenience into the game, because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Somewhere along the line, and I know precisely where, somewhere along the line, they decided, hey, let's stop making a game based on what's fun, and let's start making a game based on what's profitable. And I have no problem with earning a buck. I have no problem with that. But when your sub numbers go from knocking on the door of 13 million to desperately hanging on to 5.5 million, you're not doing something right. You're not pleasing the masses. And all this points at Blizzard. The bottom line is Blizzard dictates the mood. Blizzard dictates the persona. Am I the only one that feels this way? I really want to know, and I won't be insulted. You let me know if I'm the exception here or I'm the norm, because I am not a Blizzbot. I am not someone who bows and genuflects to every Blizzard whim. I try to be analytical, I try to be logical, and I try to provide solutions. And that's more than Blizzard does. And I think it creates a lot of underlying animosity within the community. Let me hear your thoughts. This is Luxley saying, whatever it is by you, morning, afternoon, or night, make it epic.